Two of my dear friends in the work. Well, all three of you, all in the same space. It's exciting.
Well, this was amazing to get this notice just this afternoon.
Yes.
So great.
Yeah. And I'm so excited to be joining Tom in Wexford. That's really
where?
awesome. I don't know if in Wexford.
At Jill's?
Well, at the retreat in Wexford next week or week after in Ireland.
Oh, and you're going to be there?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I was going to go with Candace Doyle originally, and then she bailed. She couldn't go. And I thought, well, I'm still going to go. So.
Yay.
Aww.
Yeah. So I'll see you more.
I'll see you real soon. We can hug. We can do the hug thing.
You're traveling all over the place.
Exactly. Oh, you remember.
I sure do.
Yeah. Good hugs. Good hugs. We'll have to spread it, make it universal.
That's right. Yep, that's what we're doing.
So we can just wait a couple more minutes to make, because I just threw out the invite to as many places far and wide as I could manage, and it might be just us, but that's okay. I'm recording it and I can post it, in the event in different places. So my hope for this is that people will get to experience a little bit of Tom, and then hopefully we'll get lots of signups for our event here in Edmonton that's on May 2nd to 5th. So. My desire is just to share Tom with as many people as I possibly can.
Well, I can say something in the void here in the interim. The retreat that I went to with Tom at Stephanie's in Santa Monica was so incredibly important to me.
Hi, Yusuf. Yeah.
Hey!
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Candace. I just want to say hello to the person who joined. Carry on, Candace. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was actually kind of revolutionary for me.
Yeah.
I've learned about things called model scenes in life, and how our personalities are acquired. This was Tom as a result of, I don't know, Tom, are you still there?
I am.
Oh, okay. It was as a result of some inquiry around the subject of responsibility, which completely kind of undid me and took me back to a model scene in my childhood, which I then understood, and got me to realize that our personalities are acquired. They're not born. And this was a huge thing to learn for me, that my personality is this thing that has benefited me and harmed me both, and that it's not me. It's not what I came in with. And so this has been really revolutionary for me, and it's it was coming out of your retreat, so I just wanted to express my appreciation for that. That was really big deal in my life.
That is not a little realization.
That is huge, Candace. So our personalities are not born, they're acquired.
That's my belief. That's my experience of myself.
Yeah.
And I think that, we come in who we come in, and we experience what we experience, and these things get saved as what psychiatrists call model scenes. So my scene was, I'm sitting in a sandbox. This is in Brentwood, California. Sitting in a sandbox and playing in the sand, and my mother's sitting on the edge and crying. And I'm saying, "What's the matter, Mommy?" And how, what can I do? How can I make her happy? So this scene became like a seminal moment in developing my personality and becoming the responsible person, responsible for my mother and other people and for my own life and for my own happiness and God's business and everything else, right? It gave me that, it was the beginning of that personality, and I kind of grieved that because I thought that that was a pretty sad thing for me and to learn. And then I realized how great it was too. So how it worked perfectly. And so, you know, our personalities, they're kind of, you know, they're kind of a mixed bag. So the learning just keeps going on and on and on. And it was all around responsibility, which I have never, you know, contemplated, and was a very key element for me. So, you know, that's why I'm so inspired to come to your next retreat. Yeah, right.
Just before we continue, because you're sharing such a beautiful story, Candace, I just want to make sure that everyone knows I am recording this with the intention of posting it onto the event with Tom. So if there's anything you don't want known publicly, just be aware. And if you don't want your video shown, you can turn your video off if you like. You can still see everybody, but your video will be off if that's what you wish.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Hi, Lana. Hi, Lana. Hi, Sharon.
And Yusuf is somebody that I've met through a WhatsApp group, actually, where we talk about all manner of things. And you're calling in from where, Yusuf?
I'm from Morocco. Yeah,
Morocco.
North
Oh,
Africa.
Oh,
Pretty
my
close
God.
to Spain. How are you guys? How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah,
Oh, very
Awesome.
good.
really good.
I'm very interested in your talk and this topic, the personality topics and things like that. And it's very interesting to know yourself and learn about the tricks and the things you can do to improve your life and your interaction with people and stuff like that. Yeah, so Debbie brought me here, and I'm happy to meet you guys.
Oh, yeah. And of course, you know,
And Tom, thank
Yusuf, yeah, of course you brought yourself here. You can put
Yeah.
it on Debbie, but
He invited me.
yeah, you know, it's like there's no mistakes. Whatever comes out of our mouth is, you know, if we're listening to ourselves, they're little doorways into, you know, self-realization. That how much we believe in the limited personality. You know, and every personality is limited, and eventually it becomes so uncomfortable we start searching for, you know, who we are. And so I love, you know, is it true in the work, and who would you be without that story? You know, they're so powerful because they really invite us to go beyond the identity personality, and the identity personality is just a collection of beliefs. You know, that's all it is, a collection of beliefs. And then, of course, lots of images in the mind. And is it true? Is, you know, like I'm responsible, is it true? And all of a sudden you see, what did the therapist call it? A model, a scene?
A model scene, yeah.
Model scene, yeah. You
Yeah.
believe that thought? It's like there's the story, and then there's the scene. And then, because we're not fully awake or aware, we actually believe the story and the scene is me. Yeah. So, you know, is it true? Like, is it true actually can't be answered by the personality, by this thought identity. And then, of course, that's the same with who would you be without that story? Like, who? Just because who we are is not a thought. No, I am not a thought. And so both those questions are so powerful. They're also probably the questions people struggle with the most. And so then we have, can you absolutely know that it's true? So that invites, a different awareness. And I like how Katie says that the work is not about changing the personality, as in changing the doing. It's about changing our awareness. And all parts of the work are an invitation to be aware. Even the first part of the work, which is identifying what we're believing, it's an invitation to become aware of the beliefs that are, you can say, running our life, or that the beliefs that make up the personality identity. What some paths call the false self or the ego. And so even the first part of the work, where we're identifying thoughts, it's about becoming aware of the thoughts, and especially the connection with the feelings, the negative feelings. As far as I can tell, there is no negative feeling that happens inside of us whose source is not a thought, a belief. It's just so many of the beliefs that run our life are subconscious or unconscious. But if you get still, especially if you get still with any kind of disturbance inside, eventually you'll see, it's almost like calling the subconscious thoughts. It's like that disturbance is like a little vortex into the subconscious. If you get still with that disturbance, the subconscious beliefs can come up into conscious awareness. And then once we're consciously aware of that belief, then we can question it. So that's another aspect of the work that I love, is very quickly we start to have a positive relationship with our negative emotions or feelings. It's like those become our little doorways to our freedom. And the first step is becoming aware of what we're believing, whether it's a conscious belief or an unconscious belief.
And Tom, sometimes for me, I find that I get locked up in trying to fix myself and try to get rid of those thoughts. I'm thinking it's about fixing or about improving me or about getting rid of the thoughts.
Yeah, so that's just pure ego, that wants to show up perfectly in the world, so that no one can blame it or it can think it's awesome. I've arrived, I've made it, because now I'm matching my ideal image of what I'm supposed to be, which is another thing that we're all, as we grow up on this planet, over time we get all these ideas of what we're supposed to be, and then we develop our own ideal image of what we're supposed to be. So then, we can do the work to try to change my behavior, my doing, so that I match my little ideal image. And then once I match that ideal image, then somehow I'll be okay. I'll be allowed to be, basically. That's what I found. The only reason we want to be this ideal image, do everything perfectly, is because once I've achieved that, I finally am allowed to be. And in reality, we're already allowed to be, which is self-evident. I am. Obviously, I'm allowed to be. I am. Only a story would cause us to doubt that. But again, the work, it's always inviting greater and greater awareness. Nothing to do with changing the doing. And then people do report the way they show up in life begins to change. And it's also very powerful to begin to notice that when you show up in ways that you don't like prior to the work or prior to, gaining this understanding, working on our awareness, when we would say I to it, like I am an angry person, I'm impatient, I'm not good, I'm not loving. Because we would witness angry, impatient, unloving, unkind ways of showing up. We see it, and then we say, "Oh, that's me." And so with the work, you begin to discover, "Oh, that's not me. That's how I show up when I believe there's something wrong with me. That's how I show up when I believe I need them to agree with me."
Mm-hmm.
And you start to see, oh, all the ways I don't like, all the ways of showing up that I don't like about me are coming from my thinking, not from who I am.
Mm.
And then with question number 4, you get a chance, you get the opportunity to begin to experience who you are without the story, which is, another way of saying who would I be if I wasn't identifying with all these thoughts? Like, what's left? And we're a little bit afraid of that, like to drop the story. Like, we're so identified with the stories and images as being me. Sometimes some fear will come in, like, oh my God, I'd be nothing. I'd cease to exist without that. And you could say that's like the ego jumping in there to try to stop us from answering that question, or from sitting with that question.
Well, so you said when we don't know when we get afraid of answering, that's the ego that's stopping us from looking? Is that what I heard?
Well, almost all of us are so identified with our thoughts and imagination that, and that question number 4 is the invitation, like, who or what are you without that belief? And if that belief drops, then all the images drop with it. And because we're so identified, a fear can come in, like, oh my God, I would cease to exist. Like, there'd be, nothing. Just go into this big nothingness. That's just the ego trying to keep a hold, you could say, of our life, that false identity, trying to maintain itself.
It can be terrifying to let go of all of that at first.
Not really.
Okay.
The thought of letting go of it can be terrifying. What we imagine will happen if I let go of it can be terrifying. Mm-hmm. But again, that's just thought and imagination. But the actual letting go is not terrifying. We're always left with a sense of peace, a sense of well-being, an ability to love, you could say. Like, all the qualities that we want as a human being start to show up when we drop what's false, when we drop the stories, then those things start to show up. And it's so beautiful or sweet the way they show up, because there's no ego involved. I mean, the ego can come in, but there's no ego involved. Like, we're kind, we're loving, but there's nothing in us that's like inflating ourselves, like, oh, I'm so kind and loving. Although it can come in afterwards and go, oh, I did that. Oh, look how kind and loving I am. Mm-hmm. The ego often comes in and grabs these realizations and tries to take credit for them. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, the power is with us, with me.
If the work isn't, or inquiry isn't about trying to fix ourselves, what is it for?
It's about realizing who we are, It's self-realization.
Mhm.
So, yeah, not about changing the doing. It's about discovering who we are when I'm not identifying with all these thoughts and images. You know, and that question number 3 is so powerful also, because that, you know, question number 3 really awakens a desire to drop these stories.
And question 3 is, how do we react? What happens when we believe that thought?
Yeah, so you get to really see, when I believe that thought, when I attach and identify to that thought, this is what happens, and it's never pretty. No, it's never calm, peaceful, loving, kind. It's full of agenda. It's manipulative. It's you know, violent. It's it can't listen. It's impatient. You know, all the qualities that we don't like is in that false identity. All the qualities that we long for are in who are, you could say, our true identity, in this conscious awareness that we are, or this awareness, hopefully becoming consciously aware. Yeah, so nothing to do with fixing, everything to do with discovering these beliefs that cause a false identity that causes fear, causes us to live in fear. But, you know, anytime we live from a false identity, of course there's fear, because intuitively we know I'm living from, whether I'm conscious of it, intuitively we know I'm living from a false identity, and because it's false, it could collapse at any moment, or it could get exposed as false at any moment. So, of course, there's fear, underlying fear, when we're identified.
What's some of the clues that we might wake up to on living by false identity? How would we know that?
Well, anytime there's even the tiniest tension. I mean, tiny. If there's even a tiny bit of tension, there's still identification with thought happening, which is what creates this false identity. Or as Katie put it, every thought attached to, every thought we believe leads to body identification. And then we all know where bodies are headed.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know, like, bodies can be locked up. They can be starved to death. They can be homeless. They can get in car crashes. They can, like, so many things can happen to bodies. So every thought we attach to, now I identify as a body. And again, now I live in fear.
Yeah, guys, sorry, got you. It's 2 a.m. Thank you so much.
2 a.m. Oh my God, Yusuf.
Dedication.
Sweet dreams.
Yeah, so much. Have a great afternoon, evening. Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.
Yeah, calling in from Morocco at 2 a.m. Thank you.
You know,
So, sorry, go on.
well, just for me, it's just like, this is everyone's life. This is what we're all here to do, is, you know, realize who we are. And you could say everyone's on a path, as everyone's looking for happiness. Everyone's looking for love.
Yeah, so there's the old saying, what's love got to do with it? So you've entitled Love is the Power. So how does love fit into everything you've just talked about?
Well, I like a Katie quote. I hope I got it right. But I've heard her say that love, only love can dissolve the ego. Only love can dissolve this false identity, which is the cause of all our suffering. The false identity, or you know, believing these thoughts. And so violence doesn't work, as in trying to fix it. That's just a smaller version of violence. You know, but But welcoming, which is a type of love, welcoming is where that false identity begins to dissolve. And the first part of the work to me is that's like love in action, the first part of the work, where you sit down with a disturbance, you notice some kind of tension or fear or anxiety or anger or frustration, any negative reaction, and then you get still with it. You don't kick it out, you get still with it. It's like welcoming this part of us that is caught in a very specific hell. And in order to identify what you're believing, you have to welcome that part. So sometimes people struggle with the first part of the work, identifying what they're believing, because they're not welcoming. They're sitting down with that upset or hurt place, trying to get rid of it. And I like to think of these hurt places as inside of us as like little children. And everyone knows when you have this strong agenda with little children, they don't cooperate. They can feel it. Well, it's the same with those hurt places inside. As soon as they feel our agenda, like, oh, you're not really here to listen. You're here to get rid of me. So they'll give you all kinds of other thoughts to work on. Look here, look here, look here. But if you really get still, you invite it in, you welcome that upset place. And it's like to get still enough with it that you can actually begin to hear it. And it's the same as a little child who's hurt. And as soon as they see mom, they just open up and start telling you everything that's going on. They don't hold anything back. And that's the same. We're bringing a loving, listening presence to this hurt part of us. And just that part it causes that hurt place to begin to relax. It starts to relax and open up. And I like to say every part of the work, like just individually identifying beliefs or the 4 questions, and each question is its own meditation. But each part of the work all by itself can you could say heal the hurt places. But just bringing that listening presence, sometimes if we're really still present with it, that hurt place will open up so much, it's like it just relaxes into, it's done, it's over. So even the first part of the work can take us all the way to freedom. And then, of course, some of these beliefs are so tenacious, like we're so strongly attached to them. Going through all 4 questions and the turnaround, it helps to loosen up our attachment to them. But the really sticky ones, question number 3 is it has so much power in it. Just to become aware, wow, I believe that, and this is how I feel, this is how I show up, this is what I do, and we can see, oh my God, that's I don't want to live there. So it's good information, a good awareness, or liberating awareness. And I know for me, some of the tightest ones, it was question number 3 that really got that tight knot to start to loosen up.
Would you like to address the turnarounds for a minute? What they are?
Yeah. We identify a belief like, they hurt me, and then you go through all 4 questions. Each question is its own meditation. So, is it true they hurt me? And doesn't matter, yes or no. You just do the best you can to get very still with the concept, the belief, and the question. And can I absolutely know that it's true? How do I react when I believe that thought? So now each one of those questions brings a greater awareness around this belief. And then question 4, who would you be without it, brings in its own awareness about who we are without it. And that all, you could say that's all preparation for receiving the turnaround. And the turnaround is just the opposite. Different, there's different ways to do the opposite, but fundamentally it's just considering the opposite. They hurt me, they did not hurt me. Or they hurt me, I hurt me. They hurt me, I hurt them. So those are different ways to consider. So, and I love the turnarounds, and the same with all 4 questions. The turnarounds are never insisting that they're more true or that they're the truth. They don't have that agenda. Like, it really is for us to just honestly consider. Could the opposite be as true or truer? So I hurt me. So then sitting with that turnaround, it's like you try it on. I hurt me. And it's like an open mind. You just have an open mind, especially after going through the 4 questions. Your mind's going to be much more open to considering the opposite. So then you consider, could there be some truth to I hurt me? And sometimes you just have a feeling like, oh my God, yes, like that is true, but you might not see specifically how. So then as you sit with I hurt me, and maybe you go, oh, yep, I'm feeling that could be more true or the truth. And then you can just sit with, okay, well, if it is true, then how? I want to see how I hurt me. And I know for me, I had the most profound experience of peace sitting with that turnaround when I saw so clearly that I had been hurting me with my thinking. Like, it was crystal clear. It was like no one had ever hurt me. Life had never hurt me. I had been doing it with my thinking. And I had been giving me what I wanted for anyone who had hurt me. I wanted them to suffer. And so I saw I'd been hurting me with my thinking, and then I was giving me what I wanted, which was to suffer for hurting me. And it was like, as soon as I saw that, I just stopped attaching to thoughts. And it's almost like you could say, I completely let go of the mind, or the mind completely let go of me, but it just stopped. And the most profound peace came in. And like moments before, there was this rage. And so that's the power, that can be the power of the turnaround, when all of a sudden maybe we have a suspicion that it's true or truer. But then the invitation is to look for examples. And like, they hurt me, that one for me it's so powerful when we take the time to go, okay, I feel like that could actually be true, that I was hurting me. Well, now let me see if I can become aware or awake to exactly how I did it. It's like Katie and a lot of people in this kind of waking up world talk about no one would ever consciously harm themselves or another human being. And when I see how I'm harming me, it just stops. And it's almost like, it feels like I didn't do anything, which I didn't. I just saw. And there's nothing in me that would want to grab onto that anymore once I see what I'm grabbing onto. But it's a very odd experience because we're so used to thinking I'm the doer, I'm doing. And those kind of experiences, you look at it, it's like, I didn't do anything. And it can give us the feeling like, I can't reproduce that. It's like, it's out of my ability. It's, I can't. But we can see things clearly. We can see things for what they are. And the seeing is all that it takes. And that's something we can do, where we are capable of. We're capable of being aware.
Does anything shake that scene for you, Tom, especially nowadays with things that are going on in politics?
Ask that again.
Does anything shake that certainty, that seeing that no one hurts you, no one would consciously hurt another? Does anything shake that for you, especially nowadays? When you hear about
what's different nowadays than
I don't know.
The last 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Like violence is, why is there so much violence on the planet? Well, just look at yourself.
Yeah.
As soon as you move into fix-it mode, you're a violent person. You believe violence works and peace or love don't work. But I find this with most people that I work with, they'll begin to drop into a place of peace, and people are afraid of peace because they think, they get this idea that I'll never get up off the couch.
Mm-hmm.
It's like without my hurt, without my dissatisfaction, without my need to change things, I'm not going to move. And they have part of it is correct, because when there's peace, all the old reasons to do things are gone. I'm not getting up to fix anything. I'm not getting up to change anything. But all those old reasons that we think were moving us through the world are gone. So it's almost like, oh, there's no reason to get up. But if you drop into it fully, you also come to the realization there's no reason not to get up. So now when I'm at peace, my mind is not like searching for the right thing to do. So it's a very receptive place. So peaceful, and then it's almost like I receive the thoughts that move me in the world. So we start to be moved by, you could say, some people would say yourself, like your higher self, or God, or spirit, but to me, God, love, truth, self are all synonymous. It's all the same. It's all pointing to the same presence. So,
any of you three?
you want to end violence on the planet and end your own.
Yes.
Like discover all the little subtle ways that you believe violence works and peace or love do not. That's all of us. If I'm frustrated, if I'm stressed, I believe violence works. Peace, love doesn't work. We don't consciously think that way, but the stress lets us know where we really live from, what we actually believe. So stress is a friend.
Bro, stress is a friend.
Yeah, all the negative reactions and emotions are friends, inviting us to be more aware, inviting us to take a look. What is going on inside? Very, incredibly self-responsible also. Self-responsible as in I can begin to own my own victim. I can see I'm the cause of any victim that shows up in me. I'm the cause, and the mechanics of the victim are, I believe, a thought. And then a victim shows up. How do I react? What happens when I believe that thought? I begin to experience me as a victim in some way. And then, as Katie puts it, all victims are violent people. Mm-hmm. And to me, she's not saying that someone who's, been raped or robbed or maimed, she's not saying that kind of victim is a violent person. She's talking about internal experience. When I internally feel like a victim. Like, as far as I can tell, the only time I've ever been aware of lashing out, being violent ever in that way, in that lashing out way, was when a victim showed up inside of me. And so to me, that's what she's talking about. And then, so with the work, we can become self-responsible, as in I can begin to see how I'm causing the victim in me. No one out there's ever done it. And it doesn't mean that they haven't done things to this body. It's just internally, if there's a victim, that comes from me. Incredibly empowering to begin to see that.
Before we hang up, Candace, Sharon, Lana, do you guys have any questions or anything you want to add?
I've been sort of mulling over the question of personality still, and you know, one discovery that I made about my personality was that I wanted it.
That's so empowering, Candace. My God.
I like having a personality. I like having an ego. You could put it that way.
Yeah, I want it. I'm not a victim of my ego.
It's like that card game, Cards Against Humanity. Does anyone know that?
Yep, I do.
It's a very funny game, and it's so negative and it's so positive. I mean, you know, it is what you think it is. So it's like, what game is there without, you know, my ego? So it's kind of a nice balance to have it in life, but to kind of be aware of when it shows up and what it's doing and how I'm getting pleasure out of the negative part. Like if I want to be pissed off at somebody, finding
if we're pissed off, we want to be pissed off.
I want to be pissed off, and I'm just going to keep it.
Yep.
I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to do the work.
Yeah, just fully be pissed off.
Yeah, and for as long as I want, until I don't want that anymore.
Yeah, but, that's how gracious life is.
Yes, it's
how spacious, gracious. Like,
yes,
life isn't shaming us. You know, it's like, oh honey, you do that for as long as you want.
Right. Be sad, feel sorry for yourself, be pissed off or whatever, but just somehow know that it's a little bit different from who I am, and from the absolute gift of my life, you know. I have this gift, but it includes an ego. It includes a personality. It causes all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, doesn't have to.
Well, but
it didn't come with it.
Well, I mean, because that's right. But like, I like the way something tastes, for example, and want more. You know, I don't see life as being about getting free of everything, because I would have to be free of all the good things along with the bad. So, as long as it soothes, as long as it works, and it's a good game, I want to hang on to part of it. I want to let it go.
Yep. When it's not working, it'll be painful.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it comes with pain. There's definitely pain in there. Anyway, and good things cause suffering, and bad things cause pleasure. I mean, we don't know what's up next.
Well, there's never been a good thing that caused suffering.
There's never been a good thing that caused suffering? How about heroin?
Well, you have to look at the whole thing. Maybe it's not good. Maybe it feels good.
Okay, right. Well, that's what I'm saying, is that, you know, things are not, good things are not necessarily good, and bad things are not necessarily bad. It's kind of all part of this thing that we experience as life, unless we want to be a hermit in the mountain and just meditate all day. I mean,
or be in the world and
in the world meditating all day. Yeah, yeah, you can do that too. These are all
You know, the
choices.
fear, yeah, there's a fear that we're going to lose something.
Right.
Yeah, without that, ego, without the wanting, yeah, and that's just not the case.
Okay, well, I have a ways to go with that then.
Yeah. Just watch the mind just presenting, oh, you'll lose something. You go too far in this direction, you're going to lose all these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's where, you know, all the saints and sages say the same thing. You know, like
That's where what?
all the saints and sages say the same thing. The joy of the self is like just all the worldly pleasures pale in comparison. And from that free place, the ability to enjoy the worldly pleasures is increased. Yeah. But we are increased. That's right.
Okay, not decreased.
Not decreased. No. But that's what this identity, you know, this identity is going to. Oh, don't go there. You're going to lose all these wonderful things that you love.
Right.
And
right.
sure, there's some pain that goes with them, but look at all the juiciness you get, and you're going to lose that. But I would question that you're going to lose these, you know, anything wonderful.
Sharon?
Okay, are we done?
I just wanted to thank much, Sean and Debbie. Oh my goodness, 4 years ago, almost 15 was my first workshop with you in Calgary. And I was falling apart.
I remember.
And it was such a thing. Best thing that could happen. Yeah. So thank you. I'd be tempted to come up to Edmonton in May, but I'm sitting in the mountains meditating. And,
awesome. Yeah, you're in New Mexico, is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. And thanks for the photos. You sent me some photos.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's an amazing place. I mean, so many things are falling away, and it's perfect.
You have a beautiful place there, Sharon, that you can invite Tom to.
Ken was thinking about you all day, and then this showed up tonight. He was thinking about that. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a mysterious universe.
It is. Well, Laura in Albuquerque, and Andrea's in Santa Fe. Anyways.
It's a field of dreams. If you ask him, he will come.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much.
There's always hope.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in May. Hopefully, you know, get a bunch of people signing up, and I just want to sit with you and be with you again and see you and live the dream with you. So, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks for pulling on this.
Nice to meet you, Sharon.
You too. Yes. All right. Thank you.
So,
Candace, I can't wait to get a hug from you.
oh, good. Me too. Big hug.
Oh, great to see you, Debbie.
Nice to see you, Sharon. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.